Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon for us, and I appreciate you using your time so wisely. Um, so people are slowly coming on, but we need to start being punctual. So we're going to turn over to Wode just now. So some of you have been in the other webinar we had this morning and yesterday. But just to give a little background, this webinar is in collaboration with the High Commission of Barbados and Ghana. And we have joining us Mr. Phil Phillips, who works with that High Commission and who actually facilitated this session. But more broadly speaking, it is part of our project we're calling South X. So Wodemaya is not South African, but for those who know, we are doing a project to facilitate market entry into South Africa, and we're working with a South African organization called SAMPER, which represents producers of sound recordings and performers. So with this project, two Barbadian artists will be given the opportunity to work with two South African producers to create new works and also to go to Johannesburg next month to showcase their work in South African venues. But additionally, there's a capacity building component where we're doing a series of webinars. This is one of them. We've completed one on live performance contracts, and we're having another on recording contracts, another on digital aggregation agreements, and then we're having two in-person workshops. One of them will look at developing like performance skills, so how to perform, how to behave and so on effectively on stage. And the other one will look at music composition and production. This project is supported by the Creative Caribbean Project, which is funded by UNESCO and the European Union. And of course, it's hosted by the Copyright Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, Coscap in Barbados. So with all of that, welcome, Wodemaya. The stage is yours. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, and a special shout out to Phil Phillips. I can see him smiling in his profile picture. I think we are the only two people that are in the same location. So a big shout out to you, Phil Phillips. And to everyone in here, if you don't know me, my name is Wodemaya. An African content creator on a journey to bridge the gap between Africans living in Africa and Africans living in the diaspora. I think currently I have, if you put all the platforms together, 5 million people following me. I will just go straight to the point today because we are here to discuss how to build a social media audience. That is the topic that they gave me. But I feel like it's a very, very broad topic. I know we are more like 18 people in the room, and I'll be so happy for me to start. I'll be so happy to understand if I can get like 2 or 3 people to just let me know, okay, what do you do and what do you want to learn after this session? I'll be so happy to continue from there. If that do we have a moderator? Eric, are you going to be the moderator for this?
Yes, I am. So
Fantastic.
I'm waiting for the volunteers to speak up.
Yeah, just three people, and then I can continue. Yeah.
Okay.
So Eugene, let's have a little bit of order. So we have Nicholas King, his hand is raised, then Eugene, and then we'll see who else. So Nicholas, then Eugene. Go ahead, Nicholas.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah. So
Nicholas.
hi. Besides doing a little singing, I am also a videographer, but most of my work is through corporate. But I realized that I need to start doing my own content. So I am trying to figure out what kind of content I should really focus on doing to really, push myself and my brand or my career. It depends. I'm just trying to, figure that out.
Okay, perfect. Second,
Eugene?
first,
Hi, Woody Maya. My name is Eugene Gittins, and I'm from Grenada. You were just here, and I hear you're coming back for Carnival, so I'm looking forward to seeing you then. So,
definitely, definitely.
so
I'll come.
it was great. Anyway, I make Carnival music. I make Grenada specific jab music. That's our like special music. That's Grenada song. You got to check it out, and the jab culture. So basically, what I would like to do is to try to promote that a lot more on social media, than I've been able to.
Okay, fantastic. The last.
We need one more volunteer. So you're explaining to Wadamaya what you.
Hey, good afternoon. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Donisha, go ahead.
Donisha, yes. So I'm a soca artist from Barbados, and my reason for joining this webinar was just to see how we could further build my platform and break into different markets around the world and have different people from all over the world following me and, just to take my craft to the next level.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. So I think we're gonna start from here. So first of all, in order to build a platform, I would say that building a platform is more like solving a problem. So identify a problem and then finding solution to the problem. That is it. There is no secret anywhere. The most important thing, I mean, if you identify a problem, we have so many platforms. Yeah, we have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you've identified a problem. But now you need a platform to solve this problem on. So I would say that whatever platform that you want, just pick it up. But in order for us to start whatever we're doing, let me just start by saying that if you have identified a problem and you want to solve it, you see, like when it comes to social media, we have over 8 billion people in the world that are all on social media. But who are your target audience? The first question that the first guy says that the kind of content to focus on, because he doesn't know the kind of content that he has to focus on. He's a videographer. But what I'm going to say is that as a creator, all you need to focus on is what you enjoy doing. You identify a problem. What do you enjoy doing? The solution to the problem, what is it? That is what a lot of people, I mean, find it very difficult to have a successful YouTube page or a successful Facebook page or a successful Instagram page because they are everywhere. You know, I see a lot of people, they're trying to grow, they look for hashtags everywhere, but it's just simple. Identify a problem. My problem that I identified was Africans were not traveling enough. And I'm like, why are they not traveling enough? It's just because no one is traveling within Africa to showcase Africa for Africans to visit. That is the problem that I identified. So I was like, if no one is doing it, why don't I solve this problem? And from the very first video that I made of solving this problem, everybody started following this page. It's not that Wadamaya is so special or Wadamaya is so unique. I just identify a problem. And my whole problem that I wanted to solve, I had a target audience in mind, Africans. I mean, we have so many people living in the world. I could have targeted the entire world, but I was like, you know what? I just want to make Africans my target audience. The question I want to ask each and everyone in this room, if you have identified a problem, who are your target audience? Who do you want? Who do you want to reach out to? Like, who do you want to, who are the people that you want them to consume your content? That is the target audience. Now, when I started making videos in Africa, then I realized that there are a lot of people in the Caribbean that are commenting on my videos. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see your videos. And I'm like, we have Africans living in the Caribbean? We have Africans living in America? I did not know. I'm just going to be honest to each and everyone in here. I did not know. Now, my research led me to the Caribbean. And guess what? When I came to the Caribbean, I realized that Africans in Africa were yearning for content from the Caribbean. So, hey, it's time for me to give you guys the content. And hence the reason why when I came to the Caribbean, I had 700,000 people following me. When I left the Caribbean, I had almost 1.3 million, doubled my audience from the Caribbean. You know why? Because I identified a problem and I brought solution to the problem. Now, I just want to make it very, very simple. You said like you make carnival music. Who are your target audience? When you go to the entire Caribbean, everyone has a, what do you call it? A carnival. But are you doing music just for the people of Grenada, or you're just doing music for the entire people of the Caribbean? Target audience. You need to start asking yourself such questions when you are creating videos or whatever you want to do. We have artists in here. When you make music, is your music for only people living in the Caribbean, or you want your music to cross borders? There's a music that really, there's a song that crossed borders. I think the song was in Barbados. Is it tin 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 waka waka tin 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 tin? It's a, I think it was, I don't know. It's a Barbados song, but entire Ghana, everyone was singing that song without knowing who the artist was. Now, I came to Barbados and I met the artist, and it's like, oh, I'm the one behind this particular song. And I'm like, what? Do you know that your song is very popular in Ghana? But we didn't know who the artist was. So what I'm just here to tell you that whatever that you want to do, whatever platform that you want to grow, the first thing that you need to do is to, hey, I want to create a video. I want to create videos, but who are the people that you want them to consume your content? That is the first one. So when you start thinking about that, that is what we have, what we call on all the platforms, we have what we call niche. When you identify the solution to a problem, that is what we call niche. I don't know, my accent, forgive me, but the spelling is Niche. If you're able to identify that niche, you're good to go. So my niche is to bridge the gap between Africans in Africa and Africans living in the Caribbean. But that is not how I started. I started from somewhere. It's been 10 years. I started as a comedian. Yeah, I was not funny, by the way. But yeah, I was not funny. My friends were telling me I was not funny. But I started as a comedian, transitioned into a young man, changing the misconception about Africans living in China. It picked up, but also switched again, moved back to Africa and started doing what I'm doing. So that is the, I would say that was the first step for anybody who wants to grow a social media platform or want to grow. I mean, if you want to identify platforms, yeah, go for YouTube, go for Facebook, go for TikTok. But also, I just want to say that you have to go for platforms that actually reward you. Some platforms don't reward you. What I mean is that some platform don't pay for the content that you're producing. I don't know if TikTok pays you. I don't know if anyone in here has a platform that pays them at the moment. But you have to go for platforms that reward you. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say this, that now that you've identified a problem, check your surroundings. What do you enjoy doing? Or what are you doing at the moment? How do you improve on it? Do you know that like people have built a whole brand by just eating? They just love eating and decided to build a brand by going from one country to another just to eat. You might think that that is not a problem, but there are people that want to see people eating. I just want to travel. I want to travel to inspire other people to travel. What do you enjoy doing? You said you're a videographer. You don't know what to do at the moment. But what I'm just going to tell you that, what is that one thing that you do that you realize that, oh my goodness, like I don't get tired doing this particular thing? For me, that is your niche. Just put a camera on it and make the best out of it. Yeah, put a camera on it and make the best out of it. Also, I would say that when we identify a problem, we are scared to start. But I'm here to tell you, don't be scared to start, or just go for it. I feel like we're always trying to be too perfect when we're building a brand. I don't think whatever is so perfect. Like, I don't even script my videos. I wake up the next day and I start shooting. Yeah. So I am here to let you know that anyone can build a brand. But when you are building the brand, have in mind that you are solving a problem. When you solve a problem, that is when, like, I don't know if you know any creator or anyone who you think is so successful, check. It's just a problem that the person is solving. And then he realized that, okay, a lot of people enjoy watching that. And then you capitalize on it. That is when consistency comes in. That is the most difficult part of building a social media platform. Consistency. I mean, a lot of people can just start, get the numbers, but staying consistent is another thing that is so difficult for so many people. So I would just tell you that if you really want to build a brand, there are two things that you need to understand. Do you want to build a fast food brand? There are two types. Do you want to build a fast food brand, or you want to build an evergreen brand? I'm going to explain. We have two types of social media platforms: fast food and then evergreen. Which one is a fast food? Anyone in entertainment in here? Anyone in kind of like the entertainment section? One person, I just need one person who is in entertainment section. Like you talk about artists, anyone who talks about artists, who talks about just things that are happening every single day.
Is anyone creating content around entertainment?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Janet?
Hold on a minute.
I'm involved in entertainment, Kurt.
Entertainment.
Yes, I'm a producer and engineer.
Okay, so when it comes to the entertainment field, I call it the fast food content. Fast food content in the terms of every day something new is happening. So you always have to be alert of what is happening. I mean, there's a trend that is going on. Everyone wants to tap into that trend. That is fast food. You always have to be there, right? So if you are out here and then you want to create a fast food content, you need to always get researchers that are always researching for you that what is happening today. And at the end of the day, those content is like content that you'll be creating every single day or producing them every single day. Because even if you're an artist and you release a music, I think that the lifespan of the music can be like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and people will be like, can you release another song? Right? So which means that every single day you need to keep try and create something new. And this is what we call fast food. When I arrived in the Caribbean, I realized that, oh my goodness, there's a lot to do in the Caribbean. But I was trying so hard to find people in the Caribbean that are actually taking advantage of what to do in the Caribbean. But it was so hard to find the people, because I realized that the content from the Caribbean creators or from anyone who produces content in the Caribbean were content that is being consumed by the people of the Caribbean. And this is something that I wish it could change, because you have billions of Africans that are interested to see you. There are billions of Africans that are looking forward to embrace you. There are billions of Africans that are looking forward to like get to know you. But everything that you're doing is just within the Caribbean. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, when I started releasing videos from the Caribbean, people in Africa were like, oh my goodness, is this Africa or is the Caribbean? And I'm like, this is the gap that needed to be bridged. But we have our brothers and sisters that are living in the Caribbean right now, but you're not taking advantage of us living in Africa. You need to start, like if you're a music producer right now from the Caribbean, it's about time to start connecting with the motherland. I mean, there is this artist from Ghana called Molly. She was in Barbados recently, and she's a Ghanaian. But guess what? The song that made her so popular in the entire world, it was produced by a Jamaican producer. Don't know if you guys have heard the lady Shake It to the Max, Shake It to the Max. So this is the examples that I'm talking about. If you're a producer,
Wode, I want to just, sorry to interrupt,
yeah.
but you came to the Caribbean, and I'm just curious about how you ended up in the Caribbean. And yeah, you say you should connect Caribbean artists, for example, should connect with Africa. Africa is geographically near, but it's very expensive and difficult to get to for most people. So I'm trying to understand, how did you journey to the Caribbean? Is it that you benefited from sponsorship? Was it a personal investment made? How did you decide to target the Caribbean? And then for people who may not have the resources, how are they making that connection with, Africa is huge. So let's say, for example, with Ghana. And then we have some hands raised. So you can respond, and then I'll ask the persons to raise their queries.
Coming to the Caribbean was a personal trip. I felt the need of connecting Africans living in the Caribbean. But it was very difficult to move from Africa to the Caribbean directly, even though we are close to each other. I had to pass through the US, which I couldn't get the American visa. So I was like, you know what, regardless of what happens, I have to be in the Caribbean. So the easiest route that I found was Brazil. So I went to Brazil first, and I was like, oh, wow, we have the blackest city out of Africa in Brazil. I went there. From there, I connected to Suriname because it's part of what I wanted to do. So from Brazil, I connected to Suriname. From Suriname, I landed in Guyana, from Guyana to Trinidad. And that is when everything changed. That Trinidad and Tobago was when I realized that, oh my goodness, this is Africa, right? And I started like meeting the people, sharing the culture, sharing everything that they do, connecting the dots. And the people fell in love with me, and they started consuming my content in Africa. Because even though they live in the Caribbean, I've been doing videos in Africa, but they did not know who I was until I came to the Caribbean. So when I came to the Caribbean, even though they started consuming my content from the Caribbean, but they went back to consume the content that I've been creating in Africa. I just want to say that whatever you want to achieve, you can start from where you are. But the thing is, like, you need to know how to monetize what you do. That is the key here. Can you guys believe that when I found myself in the Caribbean, I was making more money in the Caribbean than when I was in Africa, even though I spent just how long? 4 months in the Caribbean. But in a month being in the Caribbean, I was actually making more money than spending a month in Africa. It was like almost double the salary. And I'm like, what?
Sorry, before you tell us about how you made this money, because I'm very curious to hear that. A Daisy has, is it a Daisy Day has their hand raised?
Yeah.
So
Hey,
let's
what's up,
hear.
Wode? I don't know if my camera is supposed to be on, but it's not working. But we had met at some point, and then again at Hilton. It was me and a producer from Nigeria. And you were talking about if you're in entertainment and so on, you should reach out. So I just wanted to chime in because Erica was asking, how do you do it? with me, I started on Instagram. So I just knew that I wanted to be making music that was Afro inspired, and the same logic that you approached it with of wanting to bridge the gap. So I just started on Instagram and I looked to see who was making music, who had a following that made them accessible enough that they would actually reply to my DMs. And I came across a female producer and we just chat and chat. 2 years after that, I was able to go to Nigeria. But like Erica said, it is kind of prohibitive because it costs a lot of money. And then you also, in order to get there, to get the visa, I had to fly to Trinidad first, hope to get the visa, come back to Barbados, and then fly out again. So, so on one hand, it is possible, but it takes a whole lot of grit. But even without going to Africa at all, there's a lot of collaboration that can happen just on the internet remotely. And so I would encourage anybody to go that route because at some point the music will bring you and the collaborators together, but it's about just making that very first step and making the relationships.
Evelyn, are you on YouTube? Evelyn, are you on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I run something called Afro X Caribbean. So that's our entire premise. And so what I'm doing right now, I just really want to continue building that bridge. So we did an Afro camp where all the music produced from the camp is Afro inspired and a fusion of Afro beats and Caribbean music, so dancehall, soca, etc. So my way of doing that is through the music, but I just want to encourage people to know that from making those small steps from the DM, this producer, I've now been in like 3 different countries with this producer, and we're just building on what we're doing. So it's possible.
I met you with that Nigerian artist on the last day that I was in.
Yeah, at Hilton.
Yes, in
Yeah.
front of Hilton. Yeah, I think yeah. So I will also say that if Evelyn, if you can take YouTube very serious, yeah, I know you're on Instagram, and that's one thing that I noticed in the Caribbean. A lot of people tend to love Instagram and leave the platform that actually is more powerful. I would say YouTube is the most powerful platform that has ever existed, and if you can also add Facebook to it, because you see, whatever you're creating, at the end of the day, you get rewarded, and that is one thing that I just want to say in here in terms of your content. Instagram will never give you anything. Yes, it will give you the reach and all of that, but YouTube gives you both. So you're able to monetize whatever you're doing, and at the end of the day, you also get the chance, to connect to other people through that platform. So I think um, I would love to have the link to the channel, and if there's any way I can help on that, why not?
Thank you. I appreciate it. But in terms of growing the YouTube, is that something that you grew it from YouTube organically, or did you drive people to YouTube from a different platform?
Organically. I mean, I didn't even have other platforms, in the past. So if you check all my platforms, they can't match the numbers that I have on YouTube because I was solely focused on YouTube when I started. So I learned a lot on how to grow the platform than any other platform. I think it was recently that I decided to grow a Facebook page, which has actually surpassed my YouTube numbers. It's crazy because I didn't even know that like a lot of Africans have access to Facebook than YouTube. So it was recently that I started using Facebook, and I think it's 2.8 million, surpassed my Facebook page, YouTube page, a million people, and that is crazy. So I would say that I think I started everything from scratch, and I grew organically. Yeah. Erica, I think we're working on a. There was a question before you went to Evelyn.
No, I think I asked you.
I was talking about I was
You
talking
were
about
talking about monetize, how you came to the region and you were actually able to form to make
yeah.
more money in the region, in the Caribbean?
So I'm gonna tell you why. So the Caribbean is part of North America. It's part of North America, an American region, even including South America, Suriname, Guyana, and Brazil. So on these platforms, we have what we call CPM. All right, CPM. The full meaning of CPM is click per milli. All right, click per milli, and the click per milli is more of how much amount of money will YouTube pay you, or Facebook will pay you for 1,000 people clicking on your video. And I am here to tell you that the Caribbean has a very high CPM as compared to Africa. This is why I'm here to tell you, take your, whatever you're doing, be visible on platforms, find a niche, solve a problem, and stay consistent with it.
Wode Maya,
Yeah.
YouTube monetize, were you able to monetize YouTube directly out of Canada? I'm sorry, Ghana?
So I was even based in China. When I started making YouTube videos, I was based in China. And I don't know if you are aware that China banned Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everything. They banned it.
Yes.
But I still have access. I still had access of monetization when I was living in China. This is to let you all know that, like, I know you might say that, oh, what do you call it? It's not YouTube or Facebook is not monetized in Barbados. I believe that I believe that we all travel within the entire region of the Caribbean. Not a single country is monetized.
Jamaica is.
Jamaica is. Thank you. So if Jamaica is, there is a way of having your location in Jamaica while staying in Barbados. All you need is a location. There's always a way around, because I was living in China. China was banned. All I need to do was change my location to Ghana. So you just change your location to Jamaica and you will be wherever you are in the Caribbean, and it's still the same thing.
So when you were located physically in China, but for the purpose of YouTube, wherever else, how were you then able to collect your money?
It comes to, so I have, what do you call it? Like I told you, you need a location. Now, when you need a location, you can get an address in these countries, because I mean, the Caribbean region, you can move everywhere. So you get a location. If you have a friend, whoever, who can help you, use his address. Then when you get to these countries, you can fly to the Caribbean. It's 2 hours, 1 hour away from each other. You just create a bank account, have the card in wherever you are. So when I was living in what do you call it, in China, I had my card in China, my bank account in Ghana, with ATM machine, having access to everything on your phone. You were good to go. So I can just transfer money from my bank account to whatever account, or I can just go to the ATM and swipe with my Visa card, and I'm good to go.
All right, and without getting too complicated or getting too deep into your business, you don't have to get into details, but I just wanted to know if there were any tax implications when you set up like that. If you have an account coming into with funds coming into the UK, for example, because obviously if YouTube is not monetizing here and people have to find a workaround, they need to understand clearly, what that implies. So something like taxation, is that an issue?
So let me, like, when it comes to YouTube taxation, we have what we call a country having treaty. Like I don't know if Ghana has no treaty with the US. So whatever viewership that I get from the US, I pay 30% tax on it. Before your money even gets into the account, they've already deducted their 30%. So before the money gets into your account, whatever, if Jamaica has no treaty with the US, if Jamaica has no treaty with the US, then you have to what? Pay the 30%. But if Jamaica has a treaty with the US, so far as like you have a Jamaican bank account, you qualify for zero tax. Did I answer the question?
Okay, yes, understood.
Yeah. So there is always a way. One of the things that I always say is that you have to identify that problem. Okay, you know what? I cannot. YouTube is not monetized in Barbados, or YouTube is not monetized in Grenada. How do I overcome that? Like today, I have a guy who translates my videos into French. Today he started misbehaving, and I'm like, you know what? Why am I not doing research about how to, even translate your videos? And I came across dubbing. So you always, the platform keeps changing every day, and you have to learn every single day in order to grow the platform. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, okay.
So a question. I know you said you found a platform, you focus on it, you learn how to use it well. But is there any specific advantage to any of the platforms? I know TikTok is hot.
So yeah. See, I'm just gonna say that like you can be on all the platforms, and I'll just say that each and every platform works differently. What platform do you really enjoy using it? I would just say, yeah, when it comes to shorts, reels, Instagram, and TikTok. But a million followers on TikTok, it's more like, should I go for 10,000 subscribers on YouTube? But the 10,000 subscribers on YouTube got a purchasing power than the million on TikTok. That's what I've seen when it comes to purchasing power. Purchasing power is like when you start having all this content online, you still create businesses. So I run a real estate company called My Homes, and the consumers that I have, the people that buy the properties, are all from the YouTube platforms, because these are YouTube and Facebook. TikTok, yes, they enjoy the videos. Oh, they leave all the comment, but at the end of the day, it doesn't convert. I feel like it also boils down to the age that are using TikTok and the age that are using Facebook, and so it's more like our aunties and our uncles are consuming. Am I still here? Okay.
Yes, you're still very much here.
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah. So our aunties and uncles consume videos from YouTube, Facebook. That is where the purchasing power is. But when it comes to Instagram, taking photos, I'm just saying that after using these two, all the platforms, these are the two that I will vouch for any single day. At the end of the day, let me even tell you how this platforms works. I mean, you all living in North America even have more advantage than us living in Africa. So how all this platform works: YouTube, Facebook, can I add Instagram to it? Is anyone getting paid on Instagram? I mean, I don't want to, because I'm living in Africa, so I have to be careful. Anyone being paid on Instagram?
No, not unless it's some sort of partnership.
Thank you.
From the app.
Thank you. So when it comes to like YouTube, Facebook, let me talk about these two platforms. Now, when somebody reach out to me that, hey, Maya, I want you to do this video for me, I charge. Now, I'll charge you. That is the first pay that I get. Now, when I post this video on the platform, I still get paid again. Twice. Now, within that video, you're selling a product. that is when. Okay. In this. Hi. Okay. Hi. In this particular video, you're selling a product, and within that product, that is when you get what? Paid, because people will still click on that product, buy, and you get commissions from it. So you end up getting 3 different income. That's why you asked me, how did I manage to get to the Caribbean? Because at the end of the day, all this source of income actually helps me, because the Caribbean was so expensive than Africa. When I was in Barbados, thank God for Phil Phillips, I would have died in Barbados, man.
Hush, hush.
I would have died in Barbados, because I was just checking, the expenses in Barbados. I'm like, wow, this is like, it's so expensive to live out here. But at the end of the day, the BTMI came through, and I'm like, okay, I think my money for movement and money for accommodation was sorted for me. So I was able to produce more content. And at the end of the day, I still promote a product. So that is the power of this platform, enable you to come to Africa, because I would love to see most of you, creating in Africa. I would love to see most of you partner with African artists and then create a magic. We need that partnership. Whenever Africans in Africa and Africans in the Caribbean comes together, it's always fire. But where is the money? The money is on the platforms. And I'm just here to let you all know that it's about time to take advantage of all this platform, because you are in a very good location, better than us. So why are you not taking advantage of it? I wish I had more influencers in here, because when I came to Barbados, I realized that all of them are on Instagram. Just they have 100,000 people. And I'm like, I had a conversation with them, are you making money? And they're like, no, we're just getting the followers. I was like, no. Whenever you're growing audience, it has to convert into income. It's like you want to make impact, but impact convert to income. And that should be a goal, whatever you're doing. I mean, you have a passion, but at the end of the day, you can't go to a shop and say that, hey, I have passion, can you give me a camera? No one will give you. You have to use money.
But what am I, to be clear, you made more money in the Caribbean because of the rate for click per pay here?
Yes, it's higher than Africa. Like,
okay,
times 4 times. It's check the range. In Africa, it's like when you are in Ghana, Nigeria, you get like $2. Yeah. You get $2 when you get 1,000 people to click on your videos. But when I was in the Caribbean, I was going from 10 to 15. Okay. In Brazil, it was even 10 to 1.
Okay. I wanted you made a comment to me previously.
Yeah.
That you found the content creators in Barbados, and no offense to Bajans, this is just being honest. You found that the Barbadian content creators were not hungry enough. And you made a comparison with, say, the Jamaican content creators. I wanted you to delve into that a bit more. That's one. And two, in terms of how you create content, is it that you would advise polished scripted content using expensive equipment and so on? Or is it about more natural, more spontaneous type of content?
So first of all, I would say that everyone is different when it comes to content creation. But I find it to be like content is just your surroundings. And your surroundings are the things that I believe that we need to take advantage of. When I came to Barbados, there was a lot of things that I saw that I felt like people could have taken advantage of, or the content creators in Barbados can take advantage of. But everyone was just trying to be, all the creators that some of them were telling me to reach out to their managers. And I'm like, I have like If I calculate my audience, I can divide into 10, and you don't even have 110, but you're still telling me to reach out to your manager. I just feel like it's time for Barbados content creators to be hungry for content, because can I say that, no offense, but I feel like they were too relaxed, and everyone is trying to sell this narrative of posh living, because that's what I saw. But the in-depth of Barbados was ignored by so many creators that I actually follow their pages just to see what is happening in Barbados. So my problem is that it's about time to take advantage of the real news or the real story of the people of Barbados. I mean, our daily life, whatever happens in Barbados, if we can get a creator, I was telling you that I wish I can do a whole seminar just talking to people or just inspiring people who wants to be creators in Barbados, and just pick up the camera, go out there, and just go be yourself and record something and share with us. All right. So that is one thing that I saw in Barbados. But when I went to Jamaica, it was a whole different story. Jamaican content creators were everywhere. There are people that are into the food culture in Jamaica. There are people that are into way of life in Jamaica. There are people that just find themselves in different part of the country, just doing their own thing. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, I saw that what do you call it? The Jamaican content creators were really hungry for content, and that's what I didn't see in Barbados. I feel like if you don't start telling your own stories, no one will come and tell your story better than you, and it's time.
So what you're saying is, to me, I understand you're saying that we need to be more authentic in our content creation then?
Authentic and aggressive. I didn't see authenticity in the content in Barbados that I saw online, because I felt like you guys were selling a different narrative than what I saw. Like the daily life of a Bajan. I never saw that. And I wish we can start working on that.
Okay. Any response to what Maya has stated in terms of, one, the lack of aggressiveness, and two, the question of authenticity? So Alexandra Raven has raised her hand. Go ahead, Alexandra.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I totally agree with what the gentleman is saying. Um, I just want to backtrack a little bit. I think the question that you had asked earlier, you kind of asked and answered your question in itself. Um, and that's in regarding to, do we need to be more authentic? And it just reinforces what the gentleman was saying just now about he termed it as hangry, hungry and angry put together, and just being aggressive. I find that professionally I'm a videographer, and I'm a musician as well, a recording artist, and I find that across the board, a lot of the narrative that's spun locally about Barbados, for example, is blue oceans, white sand, um, and crop over, pretty much. To kind of just, culminate it all together, right? And it annoys me because as a videographer and a filmmaker, there's more to this island than just that as at the forefront. We do have stories of, bad traffic jams just like any other country. We do have stories of, you know, failed institutions and and these are things that we're not talking about, right? And I find that um as creatives and who want to have this yearning to dominate on social media platforms, we're not talking about the things that we're really going through, and it just reinforces what he was saying about this narrative that we're pushing like there's a disconnect between what's actually happening from what we're portraying, right? And I think the key way to really like nail down on really just doing that, and I can understand why. Part of the reason is obviously because we're not a part of any partner programs with YouTube or TikTok or whatever the case may be. But I think it really takes like think tanks and sessions like this to brainstorm and really put our heads together to like figure out, okay, well, if we can't be a part of the YouTube partner program, we could still get into affiliate marketing. Like it's literally like a zero barrier type thing to get into, and that's just one of many things. Like we don't even I don't even see like creators selling their own merch, having their own websites and promoting their merch like aggressively, the gentleman is saying. And it's sometimes I personally just get very passionate about this type of stuff because I can see what's happening out there and I can see what we're not doing and I can see what we can be doing as well, right? And obviously, as a person that's growing my own pages and stuff as well, there's and still having to balance, work and life as well. Like you can reach burnout and you can get to those type of places, right? But I believe that, if we have like a small collective where each person is fueling each other's fire, there's no such thing as burnout.
Can I just say something before
Go ahead.
Alexander?
Yeah.
I think I'll be in Barbados somewhere. I think roughly. I was supposed to be there in June 24th, but I can't make it. I'm tired. So I'll be there around maybe July ending, roughly, or first week in August. Yeah,
Right.
I would love to meet up with you and then like create something for Barbados. I mean, just something beyond the crop over, white sand, or blue ocean. Just the daily life of a Bajan. I think authenticity is something that is missing in the content, and there's something that I also did not see: togetherness, like content creators linking up, creating something beautifully together. Just that alone also sells. And I think maybe we can. I mean, I will talk to Phil Phillips if there's something that we can organize, like just a summit for creators, because I don't like to speak behind people's back. I want to speak in front of them, so some of these things I just want to meet creators and just talk to them about it and figure it out. And let me tell you, if we start creating videos, if each and every creator start creating videos in Barbados, YouTube will leave the ban. YouTube will start saying that, okay, Barbados qualifies, because if you don't have anything to show, YouTube will not mind you.
Thank you, because we have been trying so hard to get a deal with YouTube. And I can honestly say here now that YouTube was only interested in Jamaica. And that's because the Jamaican market obviously has made a bump. It's visible.
Yeah. So that is the only.
We need the creators here to really push so that we can get the deal done with YouTube. When you're finished, we have Daisy, we have Philip, and then we have Donisha. So we have 3 other people with queries or comments.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So there's so many things. There are a lot of things. I think overall, the reason that, first of all, I agree with you. The Bajan pace, especially for creators, is definitely a lot slower than a lot of other places. But I think part of why there isn't a greater push is because I'm saying we, but Bajans in general who create already feel a bit defeated. So we're already coming from a place of being burned out. And that has to do with a lot of other things that, working for different companies, being taken advantage. So there's a real problem of burnout. So while intellectually, some people might think, you know what, let's create. I think for a lot of people, it's just this feeling of, but what's the point? I don't agree that that should be the attitude, but I think that's the feeling, like, what are we going to do this for? But you were talking about authentic stories. So I work alongside a production company called Planet Productions. And if you go on YouTube for another Bajan, you will see some authentic stories from Bajans. I would say there are people who fully agree with you and want to tell these stories. I think it's more about getting those people in a place where they could get the encouragement from outside sources. Because, like I said, coming from Barbados and being a creative is very easy to just burn out and feel like there's no possibility. But even just having somebody else saying, nah, there's what you have, there's what you can use is very helpful.
Thanks, Daisy. And then we have Philip, Kelman, and Donisha.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I have to fully agree with Wode. I think the issue that we also face is the consistency. For some people, I can only speak for myself. Instagram is not my life, right? And if I treat it as a side thing, I will get side thing results, right? Um, on the flip side, there's some people who live for Instagram and social media, and they put in the work and the hours and the time and the consistency, and they see tremendous results. So I think that there needs to be a balance strike there, because if you desire to have a great following and grow your page, you have to be consistent, and it has to be something that you put in the work and the effort to achieve those results. You don't just happen to get 100,000 followers. Right, that's consistency and hard work. I think that issue is something that, for me personally, I struggle with the consistency, and the drive to connect with my audience. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
What do you do, Philip?
I'm a singer, songwriter, producer.
Okay, so you see, what I was saying earlier is like consistency comes with what do you enjoy doing. Because as I sit here, I am extremely tired. I'm very, very tired. But then when you know the purpose, why you're doing what you're doing, the impact that you want to make, the problem that you want to solve, you realize that you have to keep going. That's what I'm saying, that passion, something that you enjoy doing that you don't never get tired of. You see, if you treat it as a side job, it will never work. I mean, let me get the next question, and I'll just answer something here. How social media changed my entire life, and I believe that it can change each and everyone's in here life only if you treat it the way I treated it. It's not a side job for me. I'm an engineer by profession. Right now, that's a side job. Engineering is a side job right now for me. But anyway, let me just pick the question from Danisha, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, it wasn't a question, but I just wanted to shed some light. I agree with everything that everybody here has said as it relates to the difficulty, whether it be, as the gentleman just said, with consistency, but then it comes down to Bajans being passive. We are a passive people and we are a proud people. So to put certain day-to-day life activities for people to have an opinion on is challenging, because we are worried about what people will say and how people will receive. And that then obviously makes you as a creative repel and just, going to a shop. At the same time, I think that we need to, hold on a second.
Sorry, I didn't, Donisha?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Right. So then it makes you think that, the product that you want to put out is not good enough for the audience that you're trying to engage. So
Yeah.
you were saying something?
No. I'm waiting for you. Yeah.
Right. So Bajans obviously won't be as aggressive as the Jamaicans, for instance. And then it comes down to balance of, again, work life where, after working 8 hours, the commute, then to come home and try to build a platform that you are unsure of how it will perform, how you can monetize. And that's why I joined this webinar, because I was like, okay, let me see how other people do it, because I obviously go on like different platforms and do reading up, and different people put out tips, but the tips that people put out are so vague that you really can't understand how the platforms really work and how you can benefit from the platforms.
All right. What am I? Do you want to respond now?
Yeah.
Because there are
I want to respond.
two more hands.
I want to respond now.
Respond, and then I'll deal with Michael and Nicholas. All right.
When we talk of the entire population of Barbados, I think when you are creating content, don't even think about the population of Barbados. You see, think of creating content from Barbados that can be consumed by people beyond Barbados. I think Phil Phillips can testify that there are more people that are out of like Ghana that consume my content than even in Ghana. If you check my analytics, you won't even see where I come from. It's like it just recently people got to know me. I was with the minister yesterday, and he was like, when he first saw my video, he thought I was not a Ghanaian. So content creation should be something around you that can be consumed by people in your country and out of your country, your target audience. Because I don't think if you just creating content, you just have to focus on where you come from. And also, if you're creating content and people are talking about what you're doing negatively, embrace it, because listen, that is the best thing that will ever happen to you. The more engagement you get, the more viewership you get, the more you grow. If you don't have them, you have to go to a nearby supermarket and go and buy because you need them. Thank you.
So then we have Michael Thompson and then Nicholas King. So Michael and then Nicholas, please.
Hi, first, good afternoon, Maya. Thanks for all the work you've been doing. I've been following a lot of your work on Africa, as not only as a music manager, but also as an Igbo here on the island of Barbados. That made me smile. Anyway, as a music manager, what I'm looking at is the barrier that we had or have here with YouTube. I know that there is great monetizing content there, and there's great returns if used properly. I do have some new ideas for content, plus music and a couple shows that I would like to monetize and have them up. I missed out on about half hour. I was traveling, in between traveling, and my phone just would not connect. So what I would like to know from you is, would we be able to do it through you if it is not possible to get YouTube to give us the go ahead to put that content out, monetize that content?
Okay. Can I answer that now? Okay.
Sure.
Yes, and afterwards we'll hear from Nicholas. Thanks.
So, first of all, the content you want to monetize on the platform that you want to monetize on, I hope the platform, what do you call it? The YouTube platform has over 1,000 people following you. If that is the case, you qualify for monetization. Two, I wish I can just, let YouTube change this because I've done it before, but I did it for my country because I'm a Ghanaian. Um, that's what I said earlier. If creators can come together, because when I hit 1 million, that was the first time YouTube reached out to me and said that we want to give you a strategic partner, which is someone who works in YouTube that checks your videos all the time and talks to you directly. Ghana didn't have that. We're not part of it until my channel hits 1 million. My channel is actually the first YouTube channel to hit 1 million in Ghana. So YouTube reached out to me and said, this is what they want to do. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want it to be just me. Can we just have the entire content creators in Ghana having a strategic partner? And they were like, okay, we didn't know, like YouTube is big in Ghana like that. So if you are saying this, we're just going to look into it. I think the following week, more than 5 creators in Ghana had a strategic partner. That is the unity that I'm talking about. So I can figure it out if you can, after this show, if you can reach out to Phil Phillips or Erica. I think I will check whatever platform that you have and see if I can monetize what you have for you. But for the entire country to have the monetization, it takes every single one of us to start the content in Barbados and make sure that we reach wider audience, and then YouTube will take the necessary actions from there. Yeah.
Before I go, Erica, if I may ask, the diaspora culture, especially in the Sahel, I have a contact for ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institute. And what I would like to know, if there are any ministers or foreign ministers or culture ministers within the Sahel that you may have contact, if you can have that left with either Phil or with Erica, and I can make that contact with them together.
You need a contact of the minister in Sahel?
Anyone in the Sahel, either in Mali or in Burkina Faso or Niger.
I'll talk to Phil about that, and then we take it from there. I have a foreign minister, but I don't I need to know what you wanna talk about with him, because I know ADDI is trying to. I know ADDI works with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Burkina Faso. Yeah, but I'll talk. I'll talk to Phil about that, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, come.
All right, Nicholas, and then I have a comment as well. So Nicholas?
Yeah, I pretty much have a comment. It was back to when Denisha was talking about Barbadians being passive. The thing is, Barbadians are more conservative, because back in the day when I was doing a show called Island Living, trying to just film different activities around Barbados, wanting to film some guys roasting breadfruit, they may want to be on camera, all kind of stuff like that. So I guess the conservative part of Barbados is what kind of, dampening the opportunity to garner content that might be interesting to see. But I mean, in saying that, I also saw Chris Weening going in the ghetto, filming little boys gambling, and they were okay with that. But I think if it was me doing their filming, they'll probably want to shoot me or chase me. What you doing here with a camera with, big boy, big man, that kind of thing. So I guess the popularity of the person might also help,
It's like that even in Africa,
So how you yourself were wrong that before
exactly.
you became famous.
So it's like that. So I think when you start gaining, the attention, everybody would love to be in your videos. I think that's how it is. Like people, when I started making videos, I mean, some of the places they will tell you, don't film here. But this time when I'm passing there, even though I don't want to film a YouTube video, they'll be calling you, come and film us. We want to be on your videos. So I think it comes to the numbers. With time, that changes a little bit.
All right, there's a hand up, but I want to, before I forget and you move on, you spoke about unity and trying to really build numbers to capture the attention from YouTube.
Yeah.
There is for artists here, for musical artists in the region, right? What
Yeah.
they use as a strategy, there's let's say an entity, a person who has built a large YouTube following by
Yeah.
showcasing the content of artists from around the region who I understand pay to have their music on his YouTube channel, and or he just puts it, he takes it and puts it there. The artists see this as a great promotion tool, but to me, it's kind of illogical because he is building the number of subscribers for his channel using their content. They're paying to put their content on his channel. They're seeing it as promotion, but and he's based, from what I understand, in the US. So when you're talking about click rates, he's probably getting the largest click rate available on the planet, right? And
Yep.
it's not like he's sharing that revenue with them. So not that I'm aware of. Like I said, you pay, you get it on, you feel great because he's quote unquote promoting the content. And to me, it's the most illogical thing ever. So when you spoke about, for example, how you were able to convince YouTube to, have strategic managers for other people and really push this idea of unity and getting Ghanaian numbers up. I'm saying that's great, but with this approach in the region, I try to talk to artists about it. I'm like, this isn't promotion. There may be some promotional value, but to me, it would be better if you invested in building your own subscriber base.
I think you're right because even in Ghana, when I returned from China, I realized that artists normally don't do, should I say, they don't do research in terms of how to build a platform. So you tend to see that most of their platforms were managed by MCN, a different entity. So the different entity takes their music and then posts it on their platforms. So when I came to Ghana, I started being a bit aggressive, trying to educate artists that, hey, start managing your own platforms. Even if you are so busy you can't manage your platform, find someone in the team. His job is to make sure that all the music that you produce are being uploaded on that one particular platform, and then he does the distribution if you don't have time. But for you to do a music video, give it to another platform to post it for you, and at the end of the day, not sharing revenue with you, there's nothing like promotion over there. I'm just being honest with you. There's nothing like a promotion. It's just somebody seeing that you're ignorant and they're taking advantage of your ignorance. That's it.
All right, so next we have Tyrell and Kurt Arthur. So Tyrell, go ahead, and then Kurt. Thanks, Wode.
Good afternoon to everyone hearing my voice. My name is Tyrell Corbin. I'm a soca artist. I go by the name of Magnus. I had a song by the name of On Duty, my first soca song. That was in the year 2022. But my contribution to this seminar basically is that I believe, and even in my personal life, that some people don't think that music or entertainment within itself could offer rewards or to be beneficial to your life, improve your life financially, right? I find it's a negative connotation where music sometimes, or being an artist, or even an entertainment, some people have a negative perception about it, right? But in terms of the music and getting YouTube or what's not, or other platforms to recognize Barbados, I believe it comes down to basically content, quality of the music, also the rotation, also like soca within itself. I find it's a seasonal something. I don't know if it could be a year-round activity, if that will help improve. Also, more financial assistance to producers And I so because some of the equipment that is needed to produce the sound that will be recognized, quite expensive. More camaraderie as well amongst artists and persons that are actually into this type of pursuit or this type of career, right? I think that's some of the areas that could be improved where the music is concerned. Just to look at this other arts, if it could be a mixture of other music, that it could be authentic, it could be a Bajan sound, as you say, to look into the past with Stooge, we could do more fusion with that or any other thing because content creation, videos and that type of stuff, you need the music along with that. So basically, is content what you're actually singing about, what you want to um, associate yourself as an artist. But in terms of the educational system, some people may say business are conservative or this, but some people are even coming up with tell you, man, you can't make any money from this, or and most of the time is that they don't know how to. People don't know how to, and that's the main issue. And that's my contribution.
I think the problem is bigger than I thought, and I Erica, is there anything that we can do to? I wish I can, like, I feel like I can, all the problems that you all have mentioned, I can solve it in a short time, in a month, But the only thing is, like, I need to be, one-on-one, just showing you how these things can be done. Because there's a solution to all the problems that you all are saying, there's a solution to it. But I think you need somebody who really understand how to get these things done. Because listen, music has paid for so many people. Like I've seen people that actually became so successful through music, and they are not even doing it anymore. But one thing that I also want to say is that with the whole soccer music, I feel like when I was at a carnival, like I feel like I was born in the Caribbean because the only dance move that I know is just goes with the soccer music. Apart from soccer, I can't even dance to Afrobeat, but I was able to dance to the soccer music. And I'm just saying that I hope that one day we can have a soccer music artist just collabing with Africa. If you can have a fusion of Afro beats with soccer music, so that soccer music can come to Africa. Because you see, we in West Africa, Ghana per se, we consume music from Ivory Coast, and music from Ivory Coast sounds like soccer music, but it's in French and we don't even understand it, but we still consume it. This is a suggestion. I see a lot of artists, managers, artists in here. So I'm just saying that if there's any way you can just bring that music or find your way to Africa, Phil Phillips, to make that happen. Phil Phillips, this should be one of your biggest goals, maybe something you need to achieve before you retire. I can connect
Phil
you.
has his hands raised, so I'm sure Phil has something awesome to say. But before we get to Phil, in all fairness, we have Kurt Arthur, we have a Daisy, and then Phil. So let's hear what Kurt and a Daisy have to say, and then we'll hear the wonderful thing that Phil has to say.
Thank you.
Also interested to hear what Phil has to say, because I know he has been in this for a long time. What I would say, what Erica was saying about the platforms on YouTube, there are two platforms on YouTube where artists are posting their videos and so on, and they're not monetizing from it. This is something I've been telling artists for a long time, but they don't seem to understand that, because if you're getting over thousands and thousands of views for your song, but you're not getting the revenue from that, I don't see how that makes sense. The second thing I have to say is the biggest problem in Barbados is infrastructure. We have organizations like Coscap and NCF and so on. I find the emphasis is too much on giving handouts rather than creating infrastructure for people to thrive. And simple things like being able to monetize on YouTube, being able to know how to go about monetizing your different artistic endeavors and so on is not provided by those organizations, or the information is not readily available. Most of the time you have to figure out yourself, or as you said, go around the way to find out how to do it. And that's my biggest issue here.
Erica, this is your question.
Well, no, Coscap is not really a developmental organization.
Right, I understand that.
You understand? I mean, we will try with what we can and how we can, but it's not really our mandate. Nonetheless, we are keen to do it, which is what led to the series of webinars and the workshops and so on we're doing now. And just to go back to something Wode Maya started on, but then he didn't continue, because when I was discussing this webinar with Wode Maya, I said to him, I really don't want more than 30 persons attending, because I want it to be interactive and so on and so forth. Well, my thing was, yeah, okay, but you gotta do two. You gotta do the one that is for the limited audience, and then we gotta do something that's open to as many people as possible. So, I can't really sit here and make promises, because again, we are not government. We only have so many financial resources, but I know he's going to be here. And what I did commit to is to see what we could do with him while he's on the ground. So to the extent that we can facilitate whatever we can to help with the development of our members and the creative community generally, we are committed to that. So there's a further interaction with Wode Maya that we are going to plan with him. So I can make that commitment.
Right.
All right.
I'm not specifically like highlighting just Coscap in it. For me, it's kind of a teamwork situation, because the NCF mandate is very unclear. And as I said, to me, in the last couple of years, it has been a lot of handouts that are being given out, and it's not necessarily working on the infrastructure that would enable
All right, but Kurt, I gotta be diplomatic here. I understand where you're going, but this is a webinar that's being recorded for publication. I would suggest that let me say that I believe one of the biggest challenges is we need to have a better policy framework and better implementation framework. It has to be cohesive. What we lack are good institutions. And when I say institutions, I don't mean just organizations. I mean, you're talking about the legal framework, you're talking about the policy framework, you're talking about the financial framework. All that comprises the institutional framework. So there's, to my mind, still a lot to be done. And I think everybody agrees. And the strategies that are being employed, quote unquote, to develop the industries, we have to really look at those in more detail. But I don't think it's, I don't want us to be speaking about the shortcomings in the absence of these other institutions. I think we can flesh it out, but they should be present to hear what we have to say and to respond to it. So it's not that I want to shut it down, or I don't appreciate the comments or the ability of people to speak freely. But since there's no representative of the NCF or other institutions, as far as I know here, I think what might be better is if we can figure out how to have an interaction with them and really have that conversation. right?
Okay.
But I really appreciate your candor and your willingness to really try to address what you see as issues. So we have a Daisy and then Darian. So let's go with a Daisy and then Darian.
I'm not enjoying have to say what I'm gonna say, but I think it's important to say because we're here now and we're trying to address the issues. I think when it comes to artists in Barbados, we have to get out of the mindset that anyone has to do anything for us at all. The fact that we could even say that, they give out a lot of handouts. There are a lot of other islands where there's zero handouts to be given at all. So it's easy to criticize what's not happening, but even with all the limitations, I'm sure there's still something that each of us that is on the call right now could be doing that we're not doing. And until we are taking personal responsibility for what we could be doing, then it's not even at a point where there's something for someone else to do. I think we just really, when it comes to coming from Barbados, we grew up, the beaches are beautiful, free education. There's a lot that we get. And I think we have come to a point of taking it for granted. And for me, I'm the same thing. I am the same thing. But hearing a different perspective saying, you know what, actually, this is what's possible. I think we should focus our eyes on the what's possible because it's not necessary for anyone to give us anything ever at all. That's my view on it. But Wode, I sent you a message on WhatsApp because what you're saying about fusing Afro music, I have some songs that are already out, so I would like to, just tap in with you a little further, to give you a fuller sense of what it is that we could do together.
Okay, I'll check it out. I've seen it.
All right, thank you. So before we get to Darian though, 1 second, Darian, because Phil had his hand up. I don't see him now, so I assume he may have had some connection issues. So I'll wait for him to rejoin. But in the meantime, go ahead, Darian. And then I see Kurt has raised his hands again, I suppose, to respond to something. Go ahead, Darian.
Hey, can you hear me?
So
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Darian, man. I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter from Barbados. I actually have a company called Red Out Publishing here, which is like a publishing company me and my friends started. My question to you is more like a statement. I wanted to know. I got an album that I'm looking to put out soon, and I was looking to do some content and collaborate with, pretty much people in Africa and the Caribbean diaspora. So I was wondering if you'd be open to doing some content, man. I got some music there. I would love to play some things. And then I think there's a lot of short form content because I think the strategy I'm using this time to promote this album is definitely short form content. And I would like to inspire anybody here on this call to use short form content. I've seen a lot of bigger artists, mid-level artists use short form content on YouTube to grow really fast. And it's not necessarily about the music, it's about showcasing your personality, kind of building a world around your brand. And then kind of like what you said too, like try to find a problem that you want to solve in the Caribbean. So one of the things I'm going to use in my campaign is the fact that like a lot of smaller artists don't really talk to each other. So I wanted to go into different islands and kind of find people that are on my level and kind of like make a song with them. And then use that as content and just keep hopping around to different Caribbean countries. So that's one of the things me and my team are putting together. But I would also love to do some stuff for you. It's funny because I follow your stuff on YouTube and I know to see the thing pop up. Erica actually recommended this to come and check out the webinar. So if you'd be open to it, my name is Sivers the Third on Instagram. I'd love to drop you some messages and shoot some ideas, man.
Please do. Drop some messages and I'll follow back. I'll be in the Caribbean very soon, probably August to December. I'll be in the Caribbean, so we'll find a way to link up. Yeah.
Okay, so I do my album launch around that sort of thing. So I can definitely invite you. Come out, check it out.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. So then we have Kurt and then Unathi. Unathi was actually the facilitator of this morning's session with Amaya. She's out of South Africa. I don't know if you're familiar.
Wow.
She is she's well known in the industry. She spoke to this morning and yesterday on live performance contracts. So we'll hear from Kurt and then Unathi. Phil has advised that he lost he had an electrical issue, so he will try and reconnect a bit later.
Just to follow up on Daisy's comment, what I was saying was not exclusive from you trying hard and doing your own stuff and networking and so on. What I'm just saying is that in relation to what was discussed earlier about people getting burnout, you get burnout because of you trying hard and then butting up against walls. I have worked in the industry for years. I have worked at the international level. I've worked with people outside of Barbados for a very long time. But you still will butt up against walls. And I'm afraid of some of the younger artists. Like I see they're very enthusiastic now. But I want it to be a situation where there is a pathway for them to excel and so on, and don't get frustrated in the process. So like a situation what we are going through right now is a very good discussion. But what we need are answers in terms of how do we create the infrastructure for these artists to thrive beyond they're doing things on their own and butting up against walls. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So Unathi and then Phil is back. So Unathi and then Phil.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I joined a bit late because I fell asleep after my session and I set the alarm and it didn't ring. So when I woke up, it was like, the thing is already halfway. Nice to meet you. My name is Unathi Memela. I'm a talent manager. I'm a radio and content producer based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I manage mostly, world music talent, which is jazz, live performance, hip hop, and most importantly, traditional music, which is what I'm passionate about. I've got clients in South Africa, in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, Nigeria. What country am I forgetting? Kenya. So it's a comment more than anything. I think I missed most of the session, but I will catch up. But I think it's something relevant that I would like to put on the table. The biggest challenge, I will talk from an African perspective, with digital social media and kind of digital distribution of music, from my perspective, is digital literacy. A lot of people assume people know how to use the internet. But because I've worked with traditional artists, I've worked with big artists, just because somebody sings traditional music, they don't understand English, doesn't mean they're not relevant musicians. I've worked with people, and I continue to work with people that have got up to like 28 albums. People that tour internationally, people that have won Grammys. I've worked with Ladysmith, Black Mambazo. They sing traditional Zulu a cappella. But the guys there, except the younger ones, don't know anything about the internet. But, they've been successful, which means they're doing something right. So I had an opportunity. I work with a digital distribution company called The Orchard, which is a part of Sony. They're a New York-based company, but they've got an office here in South Africa. So they'd approached me to bring Maskandi musicians to them. Maskandi is traditional Zulu music in South Africa, so that they can have more artists on their roster for digital distribution. And then when we spoke, I had to explain to them that firstly, as successful as Maskandi is in South Africa, mostly it's rural people who are not educated. They don't know anything about the internet. Secondly, they work with physical copies because, they're about money and they make a lot of money off it. So before you convince them to go and sign up for some digital company, you have to explain to them why they should move from physical copies to digital copies. So I suggested that we do a workshop across the country where we go to where all these musicians are and we teach them about digital distribution and all of those things, but we do it in their local languages. So if we went to KwaZulu-Natal, we did it in Zulu. We went to Mpumalanga, which is a province here, and we did it in Ndebele, which is their language. And the feedback was amazing because, you know, people assume that people who are living in villages aren't smart. They're the smartest people I know. So I think when we're having these conversations about the digital world, we have to remember that there's a big demographic in all African countries of people that have got amazing music that can be exported, but they are left out of these conversations because, number one, they don't have access to the internet, they haven't gone to school, and all these conversations are happening in English. So I think that's something that, you know, we must think about when we are having these digital conversations, that we're in Africa and digital literacy is not exactly that is something that everybody has. That is my contribution. And we're actually missing out on a lot of income and also exposing our traditional music to a bigger market because we're not paying attention to the people that produce this kind of music, to teach them how to embrace technology because they're smart, they can figure it out. Now I had to tell people how to use Facebook. You can do your own videos in your little village in Zulu, you know, show them what you do on a daily basis. And it's working. They've got hundreds and thousands of followers, but, you know, they feel like because they're not educated, they wouldn't be able to do it. And I was like, you have to do it in your language. People are going to have to catch up. There's, you know, subtitles. So I think we need to also look at those kind of conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the issue of digital literacy, of course, extends to the Caribbean as well. It's not just an African issue. I know the man himself, Phil, with something fantastic to say. I don't know what Phil actually has to say. Might be putting pressure on Phil, but Phil is my buddy. So go ahead, Phil.
Good evening, Erica. Good evening, Wode. I just want to extend great thanks to you and for the collaboration with Coscap. You know, we've been trying to do something like this for a few years. I sort of spoke to you about this about 2 years ago, and I'm happy that it has started. And I know the individual that you are. This is not a one-off because you're just not a short-term agenda guy. So the High Commission of Barbados, especially the Commercial and Cultural Desk Division of the Commercial and Cultural Division, we want to extend significant thanks to you, especially coming out of the recent tribute that we paid to you. And there's so much to say, but I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. Someone mentioned that the conservative nature of Barbados may be impacting on the opportunities involved with social media content creation and revenue earning. And, you know, Wode, I know you've traveled quite across the Caribbean, and you'd realize that the conservative nature of Barbados is definitely not unique to Barbados, that Ghana is even more conservative than Barbados is. So in respects, if Ghana is doing social media content creation and monetizing, Barbados has really no excuse to do that. You know, today, for instance, I'm not sure how many of our artists are participating in this session. I really think that, unfortunately, in Barbados, we are extremely centric on a festival which is branded as Crop Over. And that extreme focus sometimes impacts on the broad agenda of the artists. Crop Over is a festival for Barbados, its diaspora and beyond. But at the same time, you know, I'm on record of saying over and over that it clashes with many, many large summer festivals across the world. And if artists are going to focus on Crop Over at the almost exclusive detriment of building a global audience, that will remain a problem with us. And therefore, today they may be a little too busy trying to get into the studio to prepare music for crop over, and the music is still called crop over music. I despise that term, crop over music. So we don't know sometimes when we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And what I've liked so far is that there are persons in this chat who seem to be willing to do something different. You know, YouTube, I'm told, makes something like $100 billion a year, which works out to be $274 million a day. And when we're talking about an era where we're in a digital economy, I think it's important that all of the channels work to educate people about the opportunities that are involved, revenue opportunities involved in this sector, this industry of digital creation. I know, Wudamaya, you have in the past shared information on your earnings, and I'm not so sure if you're willing to do that today. But I think we have heard out about what is the potential for earnings as a content in that has been sold fairly succinctly in Ghana and some other parts of Africa, and we may need to seriously devise a strategy to empower people and share with people the opportunities involved for content creation. And you share so much in terms of the whole ethos of your growth that is so important here. I just want to say in closing that the Commercial and Cultural Division of the High Commission would welcome a partnership with Coscap and Wode on developing a pilot with perhaps some of the persons who are participating in this session towards actualizing a lot of the agenda items that were spoken about, particularly at the level of monetizing social media. We are willing to sit with Wudamaya, Erica, and any other persons that you may have to develop this pilot with Wudamaya, because action speaks louder than words, they say. And therefore, we need to be able to let people see what is the opportunity in a very, very tangible way. And as I said, we're willing to play our part. So whenever you're ready, Erica and Wudamaya, we're ready to facilitate a pilot. Thank you.
See, I knew you were going to say something good. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I will follow up with you on Wudamaya. But the time is running, and it was a question that someone had raised with me, and I really want to have Wudamaya speak to it because it speaks to this issue of brand. What is a brand? And how do people, or how do you communicate your brand? How did you determine what your brand is? Is your brand just you naturally, or is it something created? And how do you communicate that in your content? And how easy is it to sustain and maintain the representation of your brand?
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you, Phil, for that submission. It was really needed. For me, brand is who you are and what you represent. I've made it clear to my team. I think one of them is here, and I always tell them it's strictly FABA, for Africans by Africans. I can get a deal from, I think sometimes the guy who works for me is a new guy, and sometimes he doesn't understand where he gets a deal from Saudi Arabia, which is good money, and I'll tell you, cancel it. I'm not interested. Why? Because that is not what I stand for. All right. So I want you all to understand that whatever brand that you're building, the brand needs to stand for something that you believe in. It's not always about money. It's not always about making the big money. But at the end of the day, whatever money you're receiving, make sure the brand deserves it. Or at the end of the day, that's the brand's value. So for me, That is what I stand for. And every content that I create, I have to make sure that it fits the brand, which is something we call edutainment. So if you watch my videos, you'll be entertained. At the end of the day, you will also be educated. I also always want to make sure that there's something in the video that will educate you or learn something new. So if you are building any brand, one thing that I will tell you that whatever you want to build, there's one thing that you need to understand. What are the principles of the brand? I mean, what are you trying to build? And if you understand it, you'll build one of the best brands that has ever happened to Barbados. And I will also let you know that don't be limited when you are building a brand, because the conversations that are happening in here, I feel like most of you are limited the way you are talking, like Barbados this, Barbados that, Barbados this. But you have to build a brand that goes beyond Barbados. From Ghana, I go to South Africa, I'll make a video and people all over the world will watch it. I find myself in Burkina Faso. I'm not from Burkina Faso, but I made it to Burkina Faso and a lot of people consume it. Let me tell you something. I was in Barbados and I didn't know about crop over until Phil invited me to go and experience crop over for the first time ever. Now, I got there without knowing where I was, and I felt like a kid in a candy shop. So I decided to share my experience of being in Barbados for the first time, and I posted that video. I think I couldn't believe that I had over 200 million people watching one video. And I'm like, what just happened? This is a content from Barbados that was consumed by so many people across the globe. So I am here to plead with each and everyone. It's about time for us to build an individual brand. But at the end of the day, we can build a brand that is bigger when we come together. And that is a brand that will bring the monetization to Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you, Wode. So we're getting down to our last few minutes. Are there any questions, anything you want to understand about, being on social media, building your brand, building your audience that you have been dying to ask or understand? Now is the time. You have a few minutes. Are there any of you who can speak to successfully creating content on any of the social media platforms, who would like to share what you've done, which platform you use, and what you found works for you? So either ask some questions, or if you have something to share. We heard from Wode, but it would be good to hear from someone in Barbados or in the region who is also doing this with some success. All right, go ahead, Daisy.
Okay. Okay, so just shout out everyone on the call. Thank you, Phil, Erica, Wode. I wouldn't say my success has come in terms of numbers on the platform. And so maybe that is my encouragement to not focus on what the numbers are primarily, but just on what you're pointing out being authentic and the right people seeing it. So some of the things that I've been able to do and some of the places that I've been able to go haven't come from having a large following, but just having something that is clear to people, what I do and what the mission is. And what a trick that I find is, let's say you have a small account, 2,000 under, and you meet someone in your networking or whatever, and they follow you on Instagram. And then you go somewhere else and someone realizes that someone they know in some other city follows you. Like those little things it really goes a long way to building credibility. So it's not just always about large numbers, but just the quality of the people that follow you. So that would be my input.
Daisy, I really appreciate that response. And it touches on something that I had previously planned to ask Wode about, and I didn't. And I know Wode, is 4 hours ahead if he's in Ghana and probably, as he mentioned, exhausted. But before we go, this issue of networks and having and building a relevant network. You have any guidance there, Wode?
I think it's very important to build a network. I think that is what changed my whole life, even though I was making YouTube videos. But I decided to spend most of my time getting to know people. And I believe that that is what shaped me or shaped the brand that I've built today. So I'm just here. I'm just going to say that, like, it's time. I don't know if all of us in here, I mean, we have 25 people in here. Do we even know each other? Do you know what this person is doing? Do you know how this person can connect you? I mean, I've seen someone who has been to Africa. I believe that there are people who are trying so hard to visit Africa. I think we can start taking advantage of our own circle, get to know people. I mean, I have a network of Phil now. When I was in Barbados, I didn't know anyone. The only person that I knew was Phil. And I was like, Phil, I made it to your country. Can you please do any magic for me? And that's how I got to know Masha. From Masha, I got to meet Her Excellency. So networking is very important. People say that your network is your net worth. Yes, but network with the right people, not the people that will waste your time. So if you can, one of the biggest advice that I got when I started making videos about entrepreneurs was one entrepreneur told me, work so hard so that you'll be a phone call away from the president of your country. And that time, the only person I knew was my girlfriend. And I'm like, my girlfriend doesn't know the president. Anyway, but I managed to build that network, and here we are today. I mean, I know one person that is like phone call away from the president that I'll call, and then you get to meet the president. So I think it's very important. Each and everyone should invest more time in networking with the right people. Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know if there are other questions. What I can say is if you think of other questions for Wode, you can always send them to me or Phil, or if you have if you follow Wode, I guess you could DM him. But I'm speaking on his behalf that I'm sure he is willing to respond to you. But
Yeah.
I want to thank him so much for this session. As I
Can we
said,
challenge before you
go ahead.
The challenge is I want someone to come up with something different in Barbados or wherever you find yourself in the Caribbean, something different, something that it's not common happening on the island, but you identify that problem that I talked about earlier, identify a problem and let me know. If you need me for us to build on it, I'm 100% on board. I mean, you can reach out to Phil or Erica, and then they'll reach out to me, and then we're going to take it from there because I need results. I don't like back and forth and nothing comes up. So yeah, that's all I can say for now.
Well, Wode, I really push originality and authenticity. I think that makes a difference. So yeah, in terms of you saying look for something different, I definitely concur. Before we wrap up, I see Faith Smith has her hand raised. So go ahead, Faith.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you guys for putting together this panel that we can come and learn and contribute on Wode last challenge just now about coming up with a problem. I heard some persons mention, challenges in Barbados that could be limiting, whereas others said, well, what Amaya said, we have to look beyond Barbados. But one of the things I think here that we have that we can probably try to work on is the issue with, I would like to say, radio stations, where I find you don't get a lot of airplay of local artists in Barbados. And when it comes to bookings and stuff, even if someone from away is hosting an event and wants an artist from Barbados or someone in Barbados is hosting the event, one of the things that they look at is your social media and how your country itself accepts you, and then the amount of following and engagement that you have. I am an artist, but I'm here representing the record label T.A.Zone Records that I am signed with. I think that is a problem that I think we can try to fix, where locally we are recognized and represented a bit more.
Okay, and I think that's something, Wode Maya has offered to sit and do some brainstorming around addressing some of the challenges in the market. So that's something I guess Wode Maya we could pick up on. But faith is a complicated issue. I mean, it's a long-standing issue. I don't know if it's necessarily complicated, but it's certainly long-standing. But the plan is to have some brainstorming around it, and hopefully this has been a learning session for not just a learning session, but a thought-provoking one. And it can also be a step towards problem solving. And I must say that was the case for the session yesterday and this morning as well, where we looked at the issue of having standards. So I'm not going to keep Wode Maya much longer. I want to say thank you all, and certainly once we organize something with Wode Maya, we have you in a mailing list. We'll let you know. I appreciate, the willingness to engage and speak up and to speak with honesty. So thank you very, very much. And I look forward to seeing you in other sessions. We closed off for the weekend, but we are actually going to reopen on Monday for the upcoming sessions. So if you're interested in learning about record contracts, if you're interested in learning about digital aggregation agreements, which I strongly think you should be, because just as an aside, I know people are signing on with aggregators, and really, I can tell you they don't know what they're actually signing. So I encourage people to check out those webinars. And then we have 2 live workshops. They're limited, they're very limited in numbers because they're live and they're very practical and the need for engagement. One is on developing live performance skills, like how to perform on stage and so on. And the other one looks at music composition and production. So like I said, space for those sessions are very limited. So if you're interested, I would advise you to go to the website or go to our socials and sign up. But with that, I want to say thank you, Wode Maya. Thank you, Phil. Thank you to the High Commission of Ghana, and by extension, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Government of Barbados for its support. And thank you to the Creative Caribbean Project. I'll see you soon. Take care.